Me too. My name is Lanaruse, and I will be your host for the next couple of segments this time zone as we continue to raise money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. For the last few days, you have been watching our top runners break apart some critically acclaimed games. But now you are traveling through another dimension, a journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. That's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, it's the Awful Block. I know we've got some amazing incentives coming up, so make sure you keep an eye open for them and consider donating to open those up for future runs. I myself am looking forward to the Mega Mem 2 Bad Grammar %. So if you're thinking of donating to that, now is the time. Before we get started with our run, I'll be reading a couple quick donations for all of you. We have $100 from a sim person who says, as a night owl, I love the night shift of GDQ. Looking forward to the Zelda adventure block tonight? Put this toward the file name incentive, and that'll be closing right away. So make sure to get it in. We have a $250 donation from Bree, who says, so excited to share in AGDQ for the first time with my husband, who loves watching speedruns. I have no clue what's happening, but it's so fun to watch, especially when it's for such a good cause. Here's to getting you that Resident Evil run, John. Love you. Thanks so much, Bree. First up in the Awful Block, we will be seeing an infamous any % run of Zelda's Adventure from my good friend Douggernaught. Get ready to be amazed. You're in for an awesome treat. Take it away, Doug.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Zelda's Adventure. Welcome to the Awful Block. Welcome to the continuation of our mini Zelda block. Thank you, Gymnast, for your excellent run of Majora's Mask 3D. We, the CDI community, are very excited to present to you the final piece of the Unholy Triforce. Big shout out to Grumpmeister for running the other two CDI games, the last two GDQs. And here I'm joined by my commentators, the first two ever speedrunners of Zelda's Adventure. First, we've got MC, who pioneered the run, creating the first route ever. MC, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm MC, and Zelda's Adventure is a part of my history that I will always remember, and I will always show up when it's being presented to 30,000 people, but I do not know if I'll ever run it again.
Yes, retired speedrunners they are, of course. Organics is also joining us, who polished the route, optimizing with lots of warps and things, and also has done a ton of glitch hunting and other memory manipulation type stuff. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Organics.
Yes, hello, I'm Organics. It is 7 a.m. here, so sorry if I sound tired. But yeah, I've always enjoyed doing science on this game because it's such a beautiful, interesting mess that seems like it should have more glitches than it does.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we would love more eyes on the game, of course. I'm Douggernaught, by the way. I never introduced myself, but my contribution to the run was mostly small optimizations, and then perhaps the worst thing that ever happened to this game. And we'll get to that about 15 minutes into the run. You'll see what I did. And also we have our wonderful host. Thank you so much for the introduction, Lana. And if you would like to let us know who will be playing Zelda for our adventure today.
All right, so we have the updated totals for our file name choice, and it is Lunk. L-U-N-K. We've got Lunk on top. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, Lunk. That's nice and easy. We don't have to work very hard to squeeze that in. I'll demonstrate to you why the number of characters is sort of questionable in this game. But first, we'll finish up this cutscene here at the beginning of the game. We had all cutscene runs of the other games. I figured we might as well see what Gasper's up to. We'll learn why we're doing what we're doing. We'll watch this slideshow of Zelda getting a very cool necklace put on her, and then we'll put in the file name. Very exciting stuff. If you want to give us a quick donation while we wait for Gasper to finish, he's doing his best, but he's not very fast.
For sure. I will...
Time has not started, no.
Oh. Yeah, I will read a combo donation here. We have two from Mojo Fibers, one for 280 and one for 147. I hope AGDQ is giving a warm Warbane welcome to Zelda's Adventure for the CDI. This game is radical, dude. Totally. It is my honor to donate to PCF as a sign of my affection for charity events by gamers like you, Doug. Good luck on your run. If you're thirsty, have a cup of Andor cider on the house. And remember, lessons of the heart, mercy, and human kindness prevail above all else. I have a second part if I can keep going.
Please.
All right. There will be no more viewing tonight. Wait, no, Gaspra. There will be lots more viewing tonight. So excited to see my wonderful uncle open Awful Block and hear our friends MC, Organics, and Lana too. Aw, thanks, doll. Here's to preventing cancer. All right, thanks,
Excellent.
Mojo.
Thank you very much. All right, I demonstrated for everyone that it's actually variable how many letters can fit in there. It's width-based. There's 11 W's and way more I's that can fit in there, but Lunk will fit just fine. But listen to this very good sound that this is about to make.
The wonderful sound effect of seemingly someone being stabbed for a confirmation, which is a great sign of things to come.
It's right on brand. All right, and now I will give the countdown, and we'll get on with Zelda, Lunk's adventure. 3, 2, 1, go.
Everyone's
All
favorite
right,
charity,
first-
the Prevent Lunk
Go ahead.
Foundation.
The Prevent Lunk Foundation. We deleted cancer as well, which is what we're after here. So very exciting stuff. First, I'm going to pick up the wand here. There's an NPC called Shermack who exists in the world. You can find her somewhere. She's in a sort of wiggly canyon, but we won't go visit her because you can probably notice the loading screens are a little bit, unfortunately, long. But she will give us hints about where to go at the beginning here. We're mostly stuck to this beginning area because we need an item from the first shrine to escape. But she'll basically tell us to go get the wand. We need the wand to earn rubies to be able to cast spells. Every spell costs rubies, and that is rubies, not rupees. And they come in increments of 5 and 10. So that's one thing the game gets right, is that blue rubies are 5 and yellow rubies are 10. We picked up a pitcher from Gleb the Thirsty. She has an empty pitcher and a mighty thirst, and we'll go help her out after we finish this first shrine.
Now, you've mentioned Shrine already. Now, as a Breath of the Wild fan, are we seeing the origin of the Shrine in the Zelda series right now?
Yes, Breath of the Wild obviously stole that from Zelda's Adventure. There are 7 shrines, not 36 or something in Breath of the Wild. It's quite a few. But there's 7 shrines to get through, no dungeons or anything like that. They're just called shrines. So the MacGuffin to collect in the game is called a Celestial Sign. There's no Triforce or anything. That's sort of left in Hyrule proper. We're actually in a sub-area of Hyrule called Tolemac, which is Camelot spelt backwards. So pause for laughter. We will get that one more time. Something else will be spelled backwards very soon, and we'll call that out when we get there. But now I'm just traversing over to the first shrine, the Shrine of Earth, or the Shrine of Rock, depending on who you ask. The boss of the shrine calls it the Shrine of Rock, but the map for the shrine calls it the Shrine of Earth. I picked up a ladder on the way as well. That's why I had to go all the way to the west there. So the routing is very sort of intentional, just trying to avoid screens with enemies on them. But also trying to move diagonally when it's convenient because it's faster. You get about, the 41% movement speed up, thanks to our good friend Pythagoras, since you still move sort of the same speed horizontally and vertically as we go. But we're one screen away now from the, it's fine, everything's fine, from the first shrine here. And then we'll be able to get started in there and talk about shrines and things. And this is awesome, how much money we have. I want to have a minimum of 40 rubies before we begin this first shrine. I could try to farm rubies within the shrine a little bit if I wanted to, but it's much safer to just have them already. So a lot of sort of reset points involve not having enough rubies to start with, but having 90 is an incredible amount. So that's an excellent start, and I'll just go ahead and jinx myself by saying so.
Would we want to comment on the use of the ladder, because you went into the menu where you find items to equip and place the ladder, which is a little on and unconventional of how it works.
Yes. Well, there's lots of odd and unconventional things to come in the speed run, and you will see all of that. But yes, the ladder is an excellent point where if you use the ladder in that chasm to cross over, that's why it's a required item, you can't cross otherwise, it is removed from your inventory, and the game, seeing that nothing is equipped at that time, will default to re-equipping your wand, because nothing else is equipped. And that's very handy. There are two types of items. There are treasures and there are weapons. We'll be collecting our first weapon here on this screen from this mimic. So every D&D thing stole mimics from Zelda's. No, I think they already exist. I don't think we can give credit to Zelda's Adventure for that. But this is the Jade Ring. It costs 4 rubies to cast, and it's a required item to kill 3 enemies called Sardaks, which block the way to the boss of the first shrine. This one takes 4 hits to kill. The second one, inexplicably, only takes 2 hits. And then the third one takes 4 hits again. So that's 10, and it costs 4 rubies to cast. So that's why we needed 40 to begin with.
Doug, do you think we would have time for Organics here to explain a little bit about how we gathered information about this game? Because a lot of the things you're saying, like Sardak, seemingly have come out of nowhere.
Absolutely, please do.
Oh boy, so there's very little resources about this game, so a lot of it comes from in-game dialogue and text. I don't think Sardaks are actually named in the game, though. I believe that name we got because we found online a transcript of the Nintendo helpline, or it wouldn't be Nintendo, but whatever helpline it was. Back in the old days, there's a phone number on the back of the CD case, and if you get stuck in the game, you can call it up and they'll give you some tips. So we got a full transcript of their log of how to beat this game and every bit of detail about it. So a lot of random information in this game comes from that. It's a very bizarre resource.
It's an incredible, it's just an information dump. I don't think we have a physical copy of it. It's on some forum somewhere. It's just a dump of that Phillips guide that you could pay $2 a minute to call in and get some help with Zelda's Adventure.
And there's a lot of things that haven't been named officially, so we just name things how we want in the CDI community because nobody else can tell us otherwise, right?
Well, we're fighting Keese. These are Tektites. There are recurring Zelda enemies in this game, so at least we have that to fall back on. I just picked up some red boots. I mentioned that we were stuck sort of in the beginning area, sort of the Great Plateau of Zelda's Adventure. Those red boots will allow us to cross shallow water, and we'll be able to open up the rest of the map and continue with the game.
Also just walk through a dark screen. There are candles in this game to light those up, but they're pretty pointless.
Yes, they cost 100 rubies, and on the any percent route, we will only encounter 2 dark screens. I think there's only 2 dark screens in the game anyway. So both of them are traversable without the candle, so it's not worth spending the rubies on, so we don't bother. That guide also that Organics mentioned is based off of an earlier build of the game and actually makes reference to several items that ended up being removed from the final version.
Something they actually deemed was not good enough for this game's final build.
Indeed. Well, there's 2 builds of the game out there. Anyone who's super interested in learning more, you can definitely fall deep into a Wikipedia rabbit hole. But I highly recommend doing so anyway because it's fascinating. Just check out the Wikipedia page and all of its sort of references, and you'll be able to learn so much. The cutting room floor also has an incredible resource for just obviously cut content. This is Lort, by the way, L-L-O-R-T. That's troll spelled backwards. I promise that's the last time that's going to happen. And we defeat him and earn 250 rubies from him. He's the only boss that we'll actually get money out of. And then we collect the first celestial sign, which will confer upon us 3 different things. Can you tell us about those, Organics?
Sure, the Celestial Sign gives us a heart container for free, which is quite helpful. It powers up the wand, so now your default wand attack actually does additional damage. And what's the third thing? It also powers up your defenses. It doesn't come up very much, but actually you do take less damage the more Celestial Signs you collect.
Yes, so you'll see as we finish the 6th shrine and head to the 7th, I will take very, very little damage from almost every enemy in the game, except for the ones that are sort of intended to be encountered only at that point. Those ones will deal regular amounts of damage. Could you also talk about why I'm going to do this intentional death here to warp back to the Vision Henge, and also why it's going to take me 10 hits to lose my 4 hearts?
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason for the intentional death is pretty straightforward. You've seen how long the loading screens in this game take. Walking back to where we need to be right now just takes forever. But yeah, we have 4 hearts of health, and you have to get hit 10 times to die. So it turns out the health in this game is stored as a really long value, and every heart container on your screen is worth 20 health points. So right now we actually have 80 health, and these enemies just happen to do 8 damage per hit. It's really bizarre.
So yeah, instead of your half hearts or your quarter
I am
hearts,
sure
we have
Matthew died.
5% of hearts is how much.
If you ever
can
want to
worth it.
talk about a dedicated speedrun community, listen to Organics discuss the hit points of Zelda's Adventure. Stuff that when I was originally running this game back in the beginning, I didn't care. I just knew that those enemies that we just encountered on screen take to give you a lot of damage. I didn't care how many points.
I don't think anyone cares now either. It's fine.
All right. We'll go to this nice peaceful pond here, and we will collect some water for our friend Glenn the Thirsty, and then do another intentional death. Don't worry about the crying statue there. That's fine. Everything's okay. Also, this is the last intentional death in the run, so hopefully it will be the last time that you hear that sound, the wonderful sound of dying. But we'll
My favorite musical track in this game, by the way, is the Game Over.
It's very good. So Gaspra, the old man who's in every cutscene, is actually also the sound producer for the game, or the sound designer. He designed like all the sounds, essentially, like all the wind, all the sound effects and stuff like that, and also played Gaspra, which is very cool. He also wrote and had made a very cool overworld theme that is unfortunately not included in the game, because you can tell that every time we switch screens, it would just have to restart, so you'd hear the first 5 seconds of the song every time, and it's very unfortunate. But here, Gleb is finally hydrating. Reminder for everyone at home to do that as well. And of course, we're removing the pitcher from our inventory and re-equipping the wand automatically, which is very handy. Now I will head to the Moblin Head Inn and collect a required weapon that is used to kill some wizrobes later. It's not technically required to complete the game, but we need an item that we get from killing some wizrobes, and also wizrobes are very dangerous in a couple of the shrines, so we'll just go ahead and pick it up anyway. This guy's going to try to talk me out of doing my adventure, but our persistence will inspire him to give us a dagger, which is very nice of him.
You know, it's very exciting because you talked about Gaspar being played by the sound designer, because what people may not know is, or you may have noticed, the actor who plays Gaspar is not actually an old man. He was like 30 and just wore a fake beard and put on a voice. So shout outs to Mark, I believe is the guy's name.
Mark Andrade, yes. I believe he's also actually dubbed over by the only actual professional voice actor in the game, whose name I don't know. But yes, you'll notice maybe some of the voices are a little silly. This certainly predates having professional voice actors in video games, so they did their absolute best. But it's mostly just Veritas employees that play both the actors themselves. All the sprites, the human sprites, are human beings that were photographed in various states of walking on a treadmill as a camera was watching them sort of strapped to the ceiling. And all of the enemies and stuff are claymation, so somewhere on Earth these claymation models exist, and I think they belong in a museum. I would love to at least be able to look at one in real life. That would be so cool.
There are some great
by a museum, you mean your house, of course.
My house, yes. The shelf behind me needs these claymation figures.
Yes.
Also, there's a lot of dioramas in play, like miniature dioramas, that were like there's a guy that just made all this stuff, and like Gaspar, whenever he's in a cutscene, is green screened and sort of miniaturized. He's been borrower-fied to put into a much smaller thing that actually exists in real life that I very much want. Now we're going to pick up a couple more things that are... The vial of wind we got from Gleb the Thirsty isn't actually going to be used until we're on our way to the 5th shrine. And this raft that I'm about to pick up on this screen with the Tektites won't be used until inside the 5th shrine. So we're just doing some convenient pickups on the way to the 2nd shrine here. Because, again, the loading screens are quite long. It's not worth like running back and forth. So we'll be doing that. Here is a vendor that has a candle and a potion. We won't be collecting those. But the potion obviously refills your hearts, and the candle we mentioned before. I just equipped my rubies because this game is excellent in that you have to equip rubies to use them and then unequip them to stop using them. And that's because I'm going to purchase this sapphire ring. Can you tell us about the sapphire ring, please, Organics?
Yeah, so the sapphire ring, I don't think it was too expensive. Yeah, it's 20 rupees to buy, but I think it costs more than that per use, isn't it? Like 30
26 rubies.
Oh, 26. Jeez.
Yes.
But it is the strongest weapon in the game. It's the only weapon in the game that exhibits a property where... So when you use a weapon in this game, you still swing your wand and you fire out projectiles from it. this is the only weapon in the game where those projectiles continue to exist after hitting an enemy. So you'll hit an enemy and it'll knock them back, and then the projectile carries on and hits them again and again and again all the way across the screen. So it does a ton of damage compared to every other weapon in the game. It's the most powerful by far.
Yeah, so
It's
that will be
so wonderful.
It's great. And it used to be thought to be necessary for a couple of mini bosses. And so Ruby routing was, back in MC's day, actually quite challenging and very necessary for the run. But fortunately, and we'll get to it, that sort of thing was sort of removed. So the Sapphire Ring is technically optional, but it is such a safety strat to really clear up some very dangerous rooms and also speed things up as well. And it will be the most it will be responsible for the most money expenditure over the entire run. Here I'm visiting a fairy pool or a mermaid pool. We're not really sure what her deal is, but she helps us out. She fills up our hearts. So I was sort of ignoring those P-hats, those recurring Zelda enemy P-hats on the way to here because I knew I could just fill up my hearts afterwards. So no big deal. And then one more screen will be outside the Shrine of Illusion. And inside the Shrine of Illusion, there occurs my most significant speedrun contribution. First, we have to enjoy the first and only usage of this sprite that's about to happen as we slide down this slide here.
Here we go.
There it is. Excellent. Very good. That's a great FFZ emote on my channel, and we spam that every time we do that, which is hopefully once per run, but we'll have to see. But anyway, there is an enemy in here, a required mini-boss. We have to kill him to open up a doorway. He's a Pole's Voice, another recurring Zelda enemy. If you remember, for like the Famicom Disk System version of Zelda 1, there are Pole's Voice enemies, and fortunately, on that console, the second controller has a microphone in it, and so very coolly, Nintendo let you yell into that to kill the Pole's Voice, which is very cool, and I think you just use the flute to kill them in the American version. So in this game, there's a noise spell that we can collect if we go 7 screens out of our way, sort of on our way to the next shrine. But it's actually, unfortunately, because of the loading screens, faster for us to, instead of using the spell that can kill this Pole's Voice in 4 hits, if we stand here for 1 minute and 47 seconds and hit him 280 times with our wand, it's faster. It's a speed strat to do that. So we'll be doing that while Lana reads us some donations.
All right, I got you, Doug. So we have a $100 donation from Mini Kitty, who says, "You've got this, Doug. Just remember, full power, straightforward."
True, thank you.
We have another donation, $75 from Steve Massey, who says, "I'm so proud of you, buddy. I got you, Doug. Less than 3 heart."
I got you, Steve. I love you. Thank you.
But do you have time for some more, Doug?
Oh my goodness, so much time, please.
Yeah, all right, let's do it. All right, so we have $25 from Dadaf, who says, "So happy finally seeing Zelda's Adventure being run. Certainly an interesting game I'm so glad to have experienced for myself. For it is an experience. Good morning from Norway."
Thank you. Another one.
All right, so we have $50 from Marka311, who says, "I've been watching GDQ's live for 8 years now, but this is the first time that I've been able to tune into the Awful Block. Excited to ruin my sleep schedule to watch the best Zelda game. Whew, hot take."
Yes, welcome to the Awful Block. All right, I think one more should do it.
For sure. We have a $1,000 donation from Idrim and Zelvia, who say, "Always happy to get the chance to watch another AGDQ. It is great to see how skilled all of the runners are at games we grew up playing. Thank you to all the runners and staff for putting together such a great event." Thank you.
Incredible, thank you. I would be so impressed if you grew up playing this game. I equipped the dagger that we got in the inn because now I'll be fighting some Wizrobes. Oh, and this one's going to shoot at me right out the gate. Very fun. Please don't do that again. Now this is a bit of a challenge. This one, so hitboxes in this game are a bit of something. They're really something. And I wish that he would sort of. There we go. Oh my goodness. All right, please, friend, I'm begging you.
Difficult.
Yeah. So the reason I went to kill these Wizrobes is not because I need to open a door or anything. They will drop a compass for me. Compasses are a recurring Zelda item, and but they work a little differently in this game from the other games in that they, in the overworld, will allow you to teleport to the outside of the shrine that you collect them in. So that is one of the big improvements that Organics made on the route, is routing in, collecting 2 compasses so we can sort of get around faster. And it's a big help, and it lets us skip, unfortunately, an entire very cool area of the game where there is a swamp where there's only a couple of items that are optional. Therefore, we don't need to visit it.
I absolutely love that usage of the compass, by the way, being utilized like that. It's one of those things that's like, wait a minute, did Zelda's Adventure make like a really cool decision with a recurring item in the Zelda series?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And care to explain also why I was very nervous doing that bridge?
Oh, that room is one of the run killers because, as you saw, there was ice physics present for some reason, and there was also,
but
there were also endless like gaps around the pathway, and if you fall in one of those, it's essentially like a wall master in other Zelda games where it'll teleport you back to the beginning of the dungeon. And luckily, the enemies don't respawn, I believe, but you still would have to walk all the way back, and with the loading times being what they are. No fun. Absolutely no fun. So falling in one of those gaps is awful.
Yes, it's not as bad as dying. If you die in a dungeon or in a shrine, you are warped to the beginning of the shrine. If you die in the overworld, you warp to the Vision Henge, which is the beginning of the game. If you die to a boss of a shrine, you just warp outside the boss room, which is very nice of the game to do. And then if you die in the boss rush at the end of the game, you go back to the beginning of the boss rush, but they have made it very difficult to die in there, so no one actually knows that.
The previous room, by the way, was my favorite room in the game. Did you know that's my favorite room?
I didn't. The one with the 2 Gorilla in it that give me a knife?
Yeah, because they give you a knife item, and then you have to go into your treasures, equip the knife, use the knife, which will cut a opening in the circus tent and allow you to proceed through, and then you need to re-equip your wand because it's that knife stays with you, even though you'll never use it again in the game. And also, in case you're wondering, what you will?
If you die.
Okay, that's fair.
The tent also respawns. So
the nice of the tent, the Gorias must fix it up. They must sew it up.
Yeah. They're like, come on, why'd you do that? So that's the big
dagger
reason.
doesn't work, by the way. Even though that's also a knife, dagger doesn't work on it.
Oh, true. Yeah, and it's not a weapon; it's a treasure. The knife is. So it's very, very confusing. And that's the big reason why, if someone is just learning the run or playing the game even casually, which does happen sometimes, I definitely recommend that they go and get the noise spell and don't do the wild noise skip, because if you die in the shrine, you have to redo the whole thing, like I did in my practice run earlier today, including the Pole's Voice noise skip. So we'll see. This is the scariest room in the shrine right here. I equipped the blue ring to both show off it and also hopefully not die. So these are the brain crabs, I call them. Usui, a Japanese runner of the game, calls them fleas. Oh, I wish he would have died. But they are fast, they are loud. I guess that's not really a problem. But they also shoot projectiles. So they're very, very scary. And there's 2 screens of them. One of them, oh goodness. Organics, would you like to talk about keys in the game? We haven't discussed those, but they're very cool.
About keys. So in the inventory screen, which we may see at some point, actually probably pretty soon, because I think you need to re-equip your one still.
Mm-hmm.
There is a key counter on the right side, and you may notice there is a wonderful little key counter there, always on the screen, and it's 2 digits long, so you can carry up to 99 keys. Actually, I think I tested with some cheat codes, and I managed to put over 100 keys in my inventory as well, but anyway, it just glitches out that counter. But in the actual playthrough of the game, this shrine, the Shrine of Illusion, is the only shrine in the whole game that uses keys, and there's only 2 of them. So they implemented an entire 2-digit key counter, always in your inventory, to count 2 keys. So you don't even have them at the same time. You have to use 1 key before you get the second.
That's correct. Well, you did hack 99 keys into your inventory. Do you remember what the counter read on your pause screen?
I don't. I thought it just said 100 and just overlapped.
It read 099 because the first 0 is a string and not a number. So they just...
It overlapped on the right. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. It was very silly. So that was Pasquinade. He's the second shrine boss. He takes 9 wand hits to kill, and he has a completely fixed pattern. Lord, our first boss, only had... well, he didn't have a fixed pattern, but he took 10 wand hits to kill. And while Gas was talking, we can do a quick donation.
All right, for sure. So we have $100 from Mathix, who says, "Hello, AGDQ. French viewer here. Thank you again for this event. Awful Block is my favorite block. I'm so hype. Merci beaucoup, Mathix. On apprécie ton don tellement."
Awesome. Thank you very much. Now that we've completed that shrine, we can go collect a few more goodies as we head into the third shrine, which is the Shrine of Air. Since there's a mermaid or fairy pool very close to us, I'm just going to damage boost my way through these enemies and not try to fight them. We also have plenty of money, even though I did have to fire the blue ring a lot more times. We're doing pretty good for money on this run. So I won't worry too much about needing to farm rubies off of enemies on the way. But here is Sir Basil.
Hail, Princess Zelda, friend
Ah,
of
yes.
Shermac. I am Sir Basil
Yes.
of Tolomac, and Shermac has sent
He's
me
a
to
friend of
assist you.
Shermac, and he gives us a broadsword. This is, again, an item we will not be using for a long time. But it's not technically required, but it's close enough to the route. It's not 7 screens out of the way like the noise spell is. So we will collect it because it will make the run faster. Shermac
It's
also
really
tried-
interesting.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Shermac also tried to butt in and say, "You seem tired now, Zelda." So they predate Nintendo always telling you to go outside.
I was just going to mention that this game has a lot of treasures and weapons in it. Many of them are optional. I know Organics could talk for hours about that, honestly. But
Many of them
it's
aren't in the final build, yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah, and it's really interesting because they're all scattered around the world, seemingly. I don't want to say randomly, but sometimes it feels that way, and it's so weird which ones are actually required. And it's one of those things why, if you are a casual player, you're gonna have a hard time, and that's a little bit of a moment of, is a speedrun really that speedy because of these loading screens? Yes, no, it is. It is considerably faster than playing it normally.
You could, loading screens notwithstanding, you could spend hours and hours just walking around the world picking up things. It's also why we pick up as few items as we do, and also why I could have picked up. We used to pick up. I got a feather from that nice man outside that building, and the broadsword. I could have picked those up before the Shrine of Illusion. It's about the same speed to do it either before or after. It actually doesn't matter at all. I prefer to do it this way because then my inventory is nice and clear. Because you might have seen that you don't have a sort of two-dimensional grid to pick items from. You have to scroll through the items as you have too many. It will sort of have a scroll bar that you'll have to go through, and that's slower to menu. We don't have very fast menuing in this game, unfortunately. If you caught the Eternal Darkness run, there was some incredible menuing in there, but we can't do that, unfortunately. Now we are headed on our way to the third shrine, the Shrine of Air, and we will pass by. Whoops, I'm going to walk into that guy. I might have to do an intentional death at the beginning of the shrine in order to refill my hearts. We'll just see how it goes from here. Oh, this guy was nice to me. These Tektites can sometimes be generous if I'm not greedy. All right, in 2 more screens, we'll see where the noise spell drops. But first, here is a screen that has a bard on it that sings songs to you, which is pleasant. There's actually a lot of very good voice. Well, there's a lot of fun voice acting in the game to hang out with if you run around and talk to people. There's a lot of interesting things that they have to say, and you could enjoy that casually, but not in a speed setting, of course. And unfortunately, we'll be missing most of it, but there's still a few snippets here and there, and there's a very good, my favorite voice line is fortunately along the critical path, so I'll try to call that out when that happens. Oh, and I missed it. The lady in red that we passed by, I was too busy talking about other things, but the lady in red that we passed by at that last building in that little tiny town after the minstrel, that's where you get the noise spell. And so that's how far out of your way you have to go and, lose
What was
about
that rainbow
30
dog,
seconds.
Doug?
So, I don't know. There's a lady that has a dog that's like a ghost or a rainbow or something. She's just there, and she, what foolish human comes this way? I don't know what her deal is. But that
Filler
dog,
content. She's the filler arc.
yeah, that dog sprite actually appears 3 times in the game. First, it appeared in Great Wimbish, the town where we bought the Sapphire Ring. There's a man with a dog outside, and he complains about the dog. And if you go inside a building, they'll tell you a joke about the dog, which is, there's a dog outside. How does he smell? With his nose, of course. So that's a fun little snippet.
top tier writing by the
good.
Veritas team.
Very good stuff. So that's the first appearance of the dog. The second appearance was that sort of.
Come in.
Uh,
Sit with
oh,
me.
hello, friend.
Warm yourself by the fire.
Yeah, come in, sit with me, warm yourself by the fire. He talks for pages, but I don't think you can even go in the building, so that's very funny for him to say. Anyway, the second dog is the rainbow, sort of half invisible, transparent dog. And the third time is actually an enemy, and we'll fight it in the 7th shrine. I'm going to take a quick intentional death here, so let's get a donation going.
All right, so we have $100 from Vidya James, who says, "You can do it, Doug. You are strong."
Thank you. Very good. This whole shrine, by the way, you can see the floor looks freshly waxed. It has ice physics throughout the entire shrine. So we'll be struggling with that as well.
As people, ice physics in games are terrible. So now I want you to imagine CDI ice physics. And that should give you a good idea of how this game feels in this dungeon.
Truly. Those 2 screens of tornadoes that I passed can only be defeated with the spell of Calm. It costs 100 rubies. It's in the same inn that we picked up the dagger for the Wizrobes inn. And so since it's 100 rubies and it's quite early on the route, it's not really worth getting, especially because there's 2 screens of enemies that it works on. It also has another function in that it clears out. Oh, here's my favorite voice line. So let me just listen to that real quick.
You can never catch me.
All right. Anyway, the second function is in the swamp. There is an optional heart container, and oh, hello. Okay, we'll just dodge around you for a bit. What's
Who's
your
that?
plan, friend? This is a mini boss we'll fight later. Ow! He got me. Anyway, there's an optional heart, and if you get the spell of Calm, it calms down the wind outside of a boat trip you have to take to an island that contains that heart container. So that's required for like the 100% route.
The 100% route, what a joke.
Yeah, the 100% route. That
I think I
doesn't
did
have
2 runs
anything.
and no one else ever cared.
Yeah, I never bothered.
No, it's not.
I mean, when we're discovering things that exist in this game, 20 some years later, it's like 100% good news. 100% it just changed today, you know?
The hours I spent, because that guidebook we talked about, the phone-in guidebook, mentions like 2 items that just don't exist. I spent so many hours trying to find them for 100%, and it's just like, they're just not there.
Because imagine, in testing this game, you have to, as we saw with like the knife room, you sometimes just have to use every treasure on every room to see if something will happen. Because we don't really have the source code of this game. We can't just look at it like that.
Yeah, it's a lost treasure. Oh, goodness. Yes, good. Some hearts. That's what I like to see.
Whew.
Yeah, so the vial of acid, I think it's called, is an item that doesn't exist. I think you helped out. We'll talk about it a lot more when we get to the Easter egg that everyone so generously unlocked. That was a sort of enigma for only about 14 months, but was hidden in the code for almost 25 years. So it's an extremely exciting thing. I'm very, very thrilled to share it with everyone once we get to that. That'll be between the 6th and 7th shrines. So even if we were just very close to unlocking it, we have about an hour of the run to do so, but you all killed it at home. Thank you so much for your donations. It's very generous. Now I'm
I
going to
forgot how
finally...
desensitized with this game, but everybody is really enjoying the bug sounds currently.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. So this is the cloud boss. Like, we sort of interacted with him a little bit earlier. You don't have to kill the other one. In fact, if you do kill the other one, this one will still be here, so it's not even worth doing.
Is that a rug that he dropped?
Yeah, we don't know what the rug does ostensibly.
According to the manual that comes with the
Yeah.
game, the rug removes ice physics from this dungeon, but it doesn't. It doesn't.
It's a lie.
Sure doesn't.
No, sure doesn't. So we
Would be a
collect
great
it.
item. Would love to see that. That'd be a proper Zelda dungeon item.
That would rock. That would be so good. But no, well, either it's broken or they just didn't. They changed it maybe because a lot of stuff in the game was removed. Like it was a very ambitious title. It was intended to have I think 600 screens according to like a preview in a magazine from 1993, I think. And hundreds of NPCs and stuff like that. And we definitely got kind of a whittled down version of that. Oh, and check out this next screen. There's a cool mountain picture in the background. That is actually an employee of Veritas' vacation photo. I'm going to get away from that.
Do we know where that is? Do we know what mountain that is? Do we have the data?
No. Oh, I
Can we get the GeoGuessr
I
crew?
accidentally clipped out of bounds. That's.
Go right, and then go all the way around the wall and go out the south exit of that room. That'll reset
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you,
Welcome to Zelda's
Organics.
Adventure.
Oh, well, there you go, bingo players. That's never happened. All right.
That's happened. Like I found that glitch. That's the only place I think in the whole game. I've tried so many walls to clip into, just like skip things.
I was
and that's
aware
the only
of
one I
that.
can find.
I never do that by accident, and here we are. I was just trying to dodge the projectile. But anyway, so most of the game is sort of photorealistic backgrounds of like helicopter imagery, and once the budget sort of dried up for that, they had to resort to pulling vacation photos from employees, essentially.
For you to play.
Let's get the GeoGuessr crew on that from the earlier in the marathon.
True. I'm sure they know what mountain that is. All right. So now we will fight the boss of the shrine. Fortunately, that's not a soft lock or anything. I don't have to save and quit to escape. Oh, that was very scary. Thank you. Thank you for the save there. I didn't know actually how to deal with that one.
All good.
All right, this is Avian. She is another one of those bosses that does not have a set cycle, a predictable cycle. She actually, at one point in her pattern, she will sort of just do random stuff. But we kicked so much butt that she is dead now.
That was amazing. That was a great avian fight.
Yeah, that was one of the best ever. I think she takes 11 hits with the feather. And I didn't even get to demonstrate the difference between hitting with a wand as you cast a spell versus hitting with the actual spell, which is less effective, because if you swing the wand to cast a spell but hit with the wand, then the boss takes no damage and has iframes through the whole feather part of it, so that's really unfortunate. Let's get a quick donation while Casper's talking here.
All right, so we have $20 from Grumpmeister, who says, the most fitting end to the unholy Triforce and the best showcase we could hope for. Best of luck, Doug. I'm sure the run will be radical. Indeed it is.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Grumpmeister. Shout out to Grumpmeister again for doing the first two Zelda CDI games at the last two GDQs. Definitely represented the community well. Got a ton of people really excited to play the games. And so that's very cool. Looking forward to your Tasmania run later this awful block. Should be very cool. But now it's actually a very quick overworld traversal. We won't be picking up any interesting items. We'll barely be visiting any new or interesting screens to talk about. So we can squeeze in a couple more donations.
All right, so we just got a $25 donation from Rihanna, who says, hey GDQ, first time donating but had to for this run. Much love to Doug and everyone else who worked to put together such an amazing run. It's so cool seeing this game represented at GDQ. We are all so proud of you guys, and I'm excited to see what the rest of Awful Block brings. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ree.
Thank you, Ree. Awesome. Another one, please, if you will.
For sure. We have $100 from Konban Meow, who says, huge fan of the CDI and the Zelda games, and have never seen Zelda's Adventure to complete the trifecta. So glad to see this lovely little console and this gem represented at GDQ.
Human comes this way.
We were just talking about that. So yeah,
We were
most
talking
people-
before the run about how many people, when they think of the Zelda CDI games, they do not think about this one. They think of Link saying, I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos, you know?
Yeah, I'm so hungry I could eat an Octorok. Like, this is definitely sort of, as I described it, the black sheep among the black sheep there, because it's not the one people think of. It was released later. It's far less sort of.
This is the hardcore Zelda CDI game.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't say that was seriously at all.
Well, like sometimes like they'll come up, like I'll be reading like forum posts and stuff, and people will say like, oh, you know, the other ones are actually pretty good once you get into them, but Zelda's Adventure is just bad through and through, and it hurts a little, but I can't argue. I can't argue very much because we're all looking at it, but it is. I do love the game very much. I really appreciate all the silliness. I think it's got a fascinating history behind it. The fact that it even exists is wild. It's like I live in an alternate universe where Phillips got to make a Zelda game. It's very wild.
The fact that this game's been 2 years in QA and we still got this.
Yeah, that's another thing that people like to say. So this is one of the hard screens in this shrine. This shrine is the Shrine of Destiny, by the way. It's kind of another run killer. Oh, the anti-fairy, the Jack, is in trouble. We love to see that. So these Gibdo enemies, can you explain why they're so scary, please?
So the Gyptos, basically, they have a giant hitbox. The way that enemies attack you in this game is just by walking into you. And they're very scary just because they are huge, and they actually do quite a bit of damage at this stage in the run. They also get faster when they get close to you, which is never great. And they have a bunch of hit points, so we always use the blue ring on that second screen at least, just because it's the most effective for taking down that many Gyptos that quickly.
Yes, and the fun part about that screen is also whenever one dies, a jack appears. So.
And you would think that they would obey physics and bounce like you might expect, like a proper DVD logo.
No,
However, they love the corners. They're like the dream of all DVD logos. They always hit the corner and never stop hitting the corner.
Exactly. They'll bounce into a corner or like into a flat, straight wall and then bounce straight back, like along the same trajectory they entered in. So they're frustrating to watch until they hit a corner, and then they're like, yeah. But typically, to be safe, one could just hold down the one button, which is the attack button, and just kind of inch your way forward. But the hitbox on the front of the Gypto is so big that if they catch you at the right sort of moment between swings, they can still damage you. So they're just very scary. It's very good to sort of corner them there.
Now, that was one of my strategies right there, the hold down button and walk slowly forward room, a.k.a. that I'm scared of this and I really don't want to do this dungeon again strategy.
Yes. So, huge run killer. This shrine, oh my, yes! Oh my goodness. It's being so nice to me for GDQ. Typically, so that screen has 2 whiz ropes on it. The top one, if he chooses to go left before coming downward, before going south, he'll be too close to be hit with the dagger part of the swing, and instead, will never take damage from you. So you either have to walk through him or, reset the screen. It's very annoying. And this screen is also pretty nice too. This whole bridge,
because also there are ice physics here, and this is very similar to that first Wizrobe gap room, because these are all gaps that if you fall down, beginning of the dungeon, sorry.
Yeah, you will void out if you walk into here.
This is my favorite screen in the game that you're just on, by the way. So this little maze area, it's made of 4 screens. 3 of the screens have Wizrobes. That top right screen just has birds that sound like Wizrobes for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, ice physics and voiding out, it's another just it's so scary part of the run. Again, if you fall out, you'll just reset to the beginning, but because of loading screens, it's a huge time loss, definite run killer. And if you get hit by a projectile from a Wizrobe, it will move your sprite. So it's bad news all around, unfortunately. So
getting through that with all your hearts, very amazing.
Yes, we can all unclench. I'm very excited for that. That's never happened before, I think, probably. So again, for the bingo cards. And then these birds will give me nothing. They're no good. We're getting sassed by Malmord, the boss of this shrine, who is about to happen. Here we are at Malmord's lair. What she does is she turns invisible, and she doesn't have a hitbox that you can damage anymore when she does that. But she can sure damage you still, so how nice of her. But she has a completely fixed pattern, so we can defeat her fairly quickly. She takes 8 hits with the wand, I believe, so she's not too bad. And we're going to get another Celestial Sign number 4, so we're over halfway through collecting the MacGuffins, so let's hear some more donations, please.
For sure. We have a $250 donation from Gubbins, who says, "Yay, Zelda! He's my favorite green boy." Thanks to all the incredible runners, fantastic commentators, beautiful hosts, and all the lovely people that make this wonderful event happen. You're all crushing it.
Excellent. Another one, if you please.
For sure. We have $50 from Nemo2342, who says, "Awful Block is always my favorite part of AGDQ. Thank you to everyone who makes these events possible, and shout-outs to all the speed friends across the globe who stayed up for this block."
Awesome. Thank you very much. It's very kind. We're now going to do a save warp. Just like dying, we will go back to the Vision Henge. The thing is, we can't, we can, but not quickly, do another death warp if we wanted to achieve the same goal. But we just now, thanks to picking up 4 Celestial Signs, we have so many hearts and we have a lot of defense. So it would take a long time for us to actually take an intentional death. So it's faster to just save and quit and go back and jump back into the Prevent Lunk Foundation.
By the way, Doug, I totally did not notice until just now, this far into the run, you're wearing an amazing shirt for the CDI run here.
Yes, thank you. It's representing the wrong CDI Zelda game, but it's one of my favorite shirts ever, and I specifically did laundry today because it was dirty. I had just worn it the other day when I was doing practice runs, and it rocks. I love it, and I think it's the perfect thing to bring along for the ride here. You can see now I'm walking across this water again, thanks to the red boots. This is another time where I will be just ignoring enemies and kind of just damage boosting through. Not because I have a lot of defense or anything, but because there's another optional heart container along the way that I'll be collecting, and that gives you a full heart refill. It's something I also do in sort of PB attempts because I feel in my heart that it is faster. I haven't actually timed it out, but faster than like trying to dodge or hit these enemies. Just sprinting through and ignoring them, I think is pretty good too.
I never thought about that, but it probably is faster, yeah. These enemies take quite a few hits to kill.
Yeah, so I mean, if you can suffer through having to enter another screen and pause and unpause twice, well, just once actually, because we can go straight to equipping the Vial of Wind afterward. So, I don't know, I like it, but every runner does things slightly differently. Both of us, all three of us do different things. No, there's 7 people. There's 7 people, I think, on the any percent leaderboard. And each one has brought, I think, something interesting to the run, which is very cool. So if you want to get in on maybe the ground floor of what could be a very cool speed game, you're welcome to join us. That would be very cool.
The ground floor of this 26-year-old game.
Some
Wait, no, it's older than that. Isn't
1994. So
yeah.
30
years.
28. Thank you. Jeez. The numbers fail me right now.
One thing really quickly, and I think we kind of alluded to it very early on. You mentioned that there's not many glitches in this game, which is one of the most surprising things ever for such a quality title in the Zelda series. How have we not found anything? What's going on there? Like, can you give us a little bit of background on that?
We have a couple of glitches. Well, you'll see. There's a pretty there's ignoring. Oh, geez, I forgot which item to equip. There's like ignoring certain things, like required items and stuff. That's definitely kind of maybe a glitch. Maybe that's an artifact of powering up the wand every time that wasn't sort of considered or something. And then there's in the 7th shrine. I'll show you a very, very important glitch that makes it so it makes the boss a little easier. I used the Vial of Wind, by the way, that we collected between the 1st and 2nd shrine to move the raft toward us, and then I spent 20 rubies to rent the raft, even though I've got a raft in my pocket that we picked up earlier as well. So that's why this can be a run killer if you don't notice your ruby count is below 20 at this point, and you have to go back and farm rubies. I'm kind of doing.
Watch out! Got a mini boss coming up, Doug.
Yeah. Watch out! It's the Loch Ness monster.
Oh my gosh!
It's a sea serpent of some persuasion. So got the quick kill.
It's a world mini boss. Can you believe it in this video game? A world mini boss too?
An overworld mini boss. But I got the quick kill. So allow me to demonstrate something interesting. If the raft stops somewhere at a pier or makes landfall of any kind, then the game actually forces Zelda to walk to the center of the raft. So I'll walk up to the top here, and then no inputs happening here, and you'll see her. She'll walk. There she goes. She walked away. So it actually behooves you to try to keep yourself centered as much as possible to save the time of that milliseconds of walking to the center. But also, whenever you stop to do that mini boss fight, it will turn Zelda typically in a different direction. So I'm not very consistent with hitting the boss, the mini boss there that spawns on the right side perfectly, because you have to make sure that you're facing the right direction, and sometimes the game says no, you cannot. So now we're in the Shrine of Water, the 5th shrine of the game. It has lots of little pitfalls and traps to come out and stab you and stuff. There's these spikes. Here's Zol's, another recurring Zelda enemy. But you see spikes sort of flying out of the walls, which is annoying because they're completely RNG. Can't predict them. There's one that we've named after a runner of the game because it killed him a couple times very hilariously. I picked up a plank here as well because I need to complete this bridge. And this is another one of those nice sort of treasures that is removed from your inventory after you're done with it. And
you get it like one screen beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unlike the ladder, for example, So I don't know if it was like maybe rushed here at the later sort of shrines. And you'll definitely, this is the last sort of hard shrine because the next two are, it feels like just too simple or incomplete or something. So once we finish this shrine, we'll be basically kind of home free, which is nice. And here's a Kelpie. Who wants to talk about Kelpies?
Rob does.
Sure. So similar to, in the first shrine there were the 3 Sarlaccs we had to kill. In this shrine there are 3 Kelpies. Turns out you only have to kill 2 of them. The 2 that we have to kill, they lock the screen with spikes, so we have to kill them to exit. There's one that you encounter a bit later on during like an auto-scroller section that you just scroll off the screen automatically, so it's completely optional. Kelpies are also, I can't remember what the required weapon is to kill them normally, but they're one of those enemies that we just beat repeatedly with a wand until they die, because equipping weapons is slow.
Yeah, that's the one where we thought it was, I say we, I hadn't joined sort of the leaderboard yet, but where it was thought to be the blue ring was required for them. So
yes,
that was my assumption that I forced upon the world until we discovered that is not the case.
Yeah,
yes.
This is how we discovered that strat, is that I think I ran out of rupees during this shrine at one point, and so I just started beating it with my wand, just like, I'm so annoyed, and then it just died, and I was like, oh, you can do that.
All right, strategy unlocked. Speedrunning, yeah.
Yes.
And then a year later, Doug discovers noise skip and wheel crash.
Yep, so that was basically the seed that sprouted into noise skip, because like not needing the required item. You see she's turning blue, which means she's allegedly not taking damage. That's exactly what the Pole's voice was doing. That's what Avian, the 3rd shrine boss, would have done if I had hit her with my wand instead of the feather every time. Oops. But she's taking at least micro amounts of damage. You don't have to hit 280 times, fortunately. I wonder if we were to hack ourselves in a weaker wand, how many hits it would take. But that is the strat, and that's the strat for another mini boss coming up as well. And both of those sort of led to the eventual discovery of noise skip, because if you can do it there, why not do it earlier in the game as well? And oops, it worked. Noise skip came about because I had gone back to Shrine of Illusion, and I was just doing I was just learning things and running around, and I killed the Pole's voice with my wand, but I was much later in the game, so it didn't take 280 hits. But then eventually we timed it out and it was faster. So
what was that water blob? I have a very big, as someone who knows the game very intently, what is that water blob?
I didn't want to interrupt my train of thought. I didn't want to derail there. But that's sort of like Jello booger person. That's Egwanda. She is the boss of this shrine. In every shrine, the boss sort of will sass you, sort of either in person or like over the PA system. And in that case, that's Egwanda. We'll fight her later. She thinks we're after the water of life. She and Lort, for some reason, think that we're after like their treasures, but we're really just after the celestial sign. So they couldn't be more incorrect about their assumptions. But now,
I've never gone this in depth into the thought process of the bosses. This is amazing.
But this is the final sort of stretch of the shrine. We will be doing a very frightening auto-scroller on this raft that I collected just south of Great Wimbish, way earlier in the run. But I will be sort of paraded through a few screens of enemies, and we'll just have to sort of try to knock them back away from me. Otherwise, like my hitbox is just slowly brought toward them, like James Bond style, like a villain is trying to chop me in pieces here. And here we will see the 3rd and final and optional Kelpie.
I'm the East Kelpie.
We just sort of stun lock them to keep them away from us and then move on our way.
Hey, Doug, is it all right if I use this moment just to push some incentives we got coming up?
How about in 1 second after I clench my way through the screen? So
Sounds great.
This is the scariest part of the auto-scroller. There's these 3 fish. They're fast. They are unpredictable. There's 3 of them to contend with. So if we can make it through here, we are good for this shrine, and you're good to plug your incentives.
Amazing. So I just really wanted to push some incentives that we have coming up for the Awful Block, because there are some amazing games that you won't want to miss. In particular, I really want to push that we are getting close for Mega Mem 2 Bad Grammar %. We have a note from the runner here that says it shows off some of the more special writing for the game, mostly the prologue cutscene and the weapon get screens, but they're quite a spectacle. So we need less than $4,000 for that one. So let's get a train going to really push those. And it is going to be incredible. Make sure you check out Zadette, Real Gamer %. Discworld, Give the Dog a Bone. We need under 4,000 for that first one and just under 8,000 for the second. So please check those out. We would love to see your donations come rolling in for those. And I'll keep my eyes out for them as well.
Excellent. Perfect timing. We just defeated Aguanda. I don't remember how many wand hits it takes, but she has another fixed pattern. We're done with sort of the variable pattern bosses. And now that we're done with the Shrine of Water, we are home free for the rest of the run, barring any sort of egregious mistake that I end up making or my CDI sort of melting. If I hope it doesn't. And I'm very thankful for doing like an online event. This is fantastic for the purposes of not having to travel sort of on an airplane with the CDI. You get a lot of weird looks for bringing around a very heavy sort of piece of machinery with you. It looks like a VCR essentially, and it's made of metal, and it probably weighs 15 pounds or something. So I'm glad that we're here. This is fantastic. Let's get one more donation, please.
All right, so we have $25 from Whammy Flammy saying, loving the chaos of the run so far. I'll donate an additional $25 if the host gives her best. Oh dear. You can never catch me. There you go.
Very good. What were you saying, MC? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to thank all the viewers and donors for contributing to the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It's a great cause, and really excited to see that total flying up during this run. It's nice to see that some people want to support the charity through such a wonderful game to celebrate here.
Truly, yes. It's inspiring to watch. We cracked $1 million today, and that's incredible. I guess yesterday. Well, it depends on your time zone, but breaking $1 million is an incredible feat, and you all managed to do it. Congratulations. That was the first instance of using a compass to warp to somewhere else on the map. We warped to outside the Shrine of Air with the 3 compass, and now we are headed toward the Shrine of Power or Shrine of Strength. Once again, like the Shrine of Rock or Earth. This one has 2 names depending on who you ask. I think Gasper refers to it as a place of great power, and then the map refers to it as the Shrine of Strength.
I can't recall. Well, this might have been one of the differences in the 2 release versions of the game as well. That I think the map screen calls it the 2 different names in the different versions.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's, again, like required reading for everyone at home. Please go check out the Cutting Room Floor articles on this game. They're fascinating. It's a very good website.
Some games, if you get involved in the speedrunning community, you'll see a library of different tricks and glitches and movement options you can do. With this one, you find out about the 2 localization differences between the games, and you feel happy about it.
Yeah, like unfortunately this game has never been like, put into Japanese or something so that you don't get faster text or faster loads or anything like that. So we do our best here.
Faster loading, we'll take that.
That's the dream. Like if anyone were to ask, like what's the dream trick or glitch that you could find in your game? Like faster loads, please.
Okay, can we manually start spinning the disc faster? Like open up the CDI and like spin like a DJ? Maybe that'll help out. I don't think that's how it works, but have we tried it?
Sounds good to me.
Everything else in this game.
Oh goodness. All
there
right.
are console differences in the speed here. It doesn't come up much.
True.
Yeah, there is one specific. So the CDI was just like a platform in the same way that like CD-ROM is a platform. So there are multiple companies and multiple versions of the CDI console. And one specific one, which is the Philips CDI 370, runs this game quicker than any other. Like the load screens just go like a second quicker every time, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, there are slight differences like between each model. Like Panasonic got in the mix. Philips obviously has a bunch of models. Magnavox has one. Even Sony has, I think, a combo TV Philips CDI player. It's very
TV CDI player?
Yeah.
eBay, where are you at?
That's the holy grail. Like, that would run. All right, I purchased a red ribbon for 50 rubies there, so that's another sort of pain point in the run. You definitely have to have at least 50 rubies at this point, but after that, we are actually good for rubies for the rest of the run. Thanks to your generous donations, of course, we will be showing off the Food Dude Easter egg, which will make us extremely good for rubies for the rest of the game, and you'll see that after this shrine. We'll go take care of that.
Please, miss, I'm so thirsty.
This lady is much like Gleb the Thirsty. She is also incredibly parched, so everyone remember to hydrate. But she needs me to draw her some water from the well. And she gives me, and I quote, a gold necklace to increase our magic defense. And it's a weapon, and it doesn't do that. But I'll show you when we use that in the next shrine.
Ooh, target minigame, target shooting, amazing.
Yes, so that's why we're good for rubies until the end of the run, because we shoot those targets and we get a bunch of money for it. It's very nice.
I really enjoyed this shrine from the perspective of what it could have been in terms of like the Zelda series, because it kind of focuses on a series of like mini games almost, and obviously it's very abstract, but I think it's really cool that it's like, okay, you first got to open the first door by doing like a target mini game, and it's like a carnival type of theme, which I think is very unique that we haven't seen in an actual Zelda game.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I'm sorry, canonical Zelda game. Correction.
Well, yes, true. This is an actual Zelda game that exists. But yeah, it's a medieval sort of carnival type, like a fair. It's very interesting. There's lots of NPCs. To get I think it's the compass in this shrine. You have to actually listen to an NPC speak for about, great line here.
You have something stolen from me and I am strong.
So this is the Red Knight. He has an intended item, a lance to kill him with, but it's quite far out of the way. We'll pass by it on the way to the next shrine. But once again, we can just beat him to death with our wand, this time 56 times instead of 280. So that's always fun. And he's dead.
His line was, he's the one who says, "You have stolen from me and I am strong"?
Yes, that's correct. So that's
because we collected the red ribbon, which is apparently something that... I did some history research. Apparently, knights used to be given like a ribbon by their lover or something, by their wife, and so we bought his ribbon from his lover, and so he sees that and he says, "You have something stolen from me, and I am strong."
Some lover selling the ribbon. Goodness.
Yeah, actually, I think he needs to have a discussion with his lover. Actually. True.
All right, here's our second of 2 required block puzzles, and we've got the time. We can clean up. here. Yeah.
Ooh, well done. Yeah. Excellent block puzzle.
Thank you. That last block is not required, but we're not really going to be on world record pace here, mostly because we've been doing a lot of sort of marathon safety strats, and we'll be getting an optional Easter egg. But we've got to clean up, sometimes, or it's invalid. I get yelled at if I don't push that last one by my chat. So
I don't think it's at all
that's very
suitable.
important. Yeah, we hit an hour. Congratulations to us.
Can I take a moment to read another donation, Doug?
Sure. After I make a donation to this thief character,
yes.
if you hit their hitbox, they will steal money from you. But let's get a donation in.
All right. So we have $12.83 from Theo Reticle, who says, Zelda's Adventure has less code in it than the Majora's Mask run, and I love it. Donation goes to Give the Dog a Bone. Gaspo deserves it. Feed the animals. Thank you, everyone, and good fortune to you, Doug. Loving to see these incentive donations come in. Keep it up, everyone.
Thank you. That was another good line. He said, "Can you even lift a broadsword?" That's pretty funny.
Can you even lift? Like that guy is the original "Do you even lift" guy. He says, "Can you even lift a broadsword?" Man, exactly. I love the lines in this game. Man, I love this game. I don't want to play it, but I love this game.
Yeah, relatable. Yeah,
that's a lot of the energy that's brought in by former runners of the game. Get your abacus emojis ready in chat, because we're about to experience the ultimate abacus. And there it is. Ooh.
Wow.
All right, it's gone. It's over. Goodbye. All right, Ursor is the boss of this shrine. He is a giant bear. He's not like the dog. His sprite does not appear elsewhere, but he's quite powerful. He deals 2 hearts worth of damage every time he hits you, and he also takes a whopping 22 wand hits to kill, which I think is about double the next amount. So pretty wild. But this is going to be kind of a long fight. We can get a donation in for sure.
All right, so we have $20 from Hero Wolfwood, who says, "Go Doug, save Tolemac and Link."
Thank you. Another one will fit in too. It's a long fight.
All right, we have $50 from Shads, who says, "I went to bed earlier in order to stay awake for Awful Block, and I'm happy with my decision. I think it's amazing that there's a CDI community. Like that Poll's voice from earlier, let's beat cancer."
Perfect, thank you. This celestial sign is also interesting in that you cannot collect it from the right side or from below. You have to collect it from the top or the left. Don't know why the hitbox is like that, but we've collected it.
That is the peak of Zelda CDI, Zelda's Adventure knowledge. You cannot collect this one unique item from either side.
Well, you rush straight forward and then just like you smack into it and nothing. You can't pick it up. I thought we used to think you could only collect it from the top, and then I accidentally, because I was demonstrating like, oh look, you can't collect it from the right or the bottom or you can get it from the left. Okay, never
Wait,
mind.
you can get it from the left?
Oh yeah.
I love Zelda's Adventure.
Yeah, it rocks. All right, and now, thanks to, again, your generous donations, we get to show off the Food Dude Easter egg. This is an Easter egg that was 25 years in the making, or in the finding, I guess. But first I will equip the 2 compass, because we will warp right after we pick up this first required item for it. But you can check out, shout out to Wand of Gamelon with underscores between on Twitter. They're the ones who sort of broke the news about this. There's a website called shikote.com where a person has a very cool interactive map of Zelda's Adventure that has on every single screen, it has every sprite that gets loaded, which will include like every single like movement of every enemy and like facing every direction. So like some screens will have dozens of sprites loaded, but they found for some reason there was this weird sprite loaded on this really out of the way screen for no reason, and they were like, what's going on with that? And you can go through the thread on their Twitter of like them just like puzzling about this and how it's like how do I unlock this? How do I find this character? They also found the unused voice line that is spoken by Food Dude, this character who is a skateboarder, and they're just so confused about it.
A skateboarder?
Yeah,
in Ptolemaic?
Yeah. They were like, what is this skateboarding sprite doing here in this medieval sort of fantasy world? Is so unusual. Like, what do we do? And why is this like voice line that is completely out of place and anachronistic? Why is it here? And they were like, do you have to change your file name to something specific? Do you have to like, what do you have to do? And they found out finally how to do it is to take a very specific item. So right now I have, let me see what I have equipped. Okay, I have the wand equipped. Let me equip the, this is the coal item that we need. If I use it, it makes a bonking sort of sound, a sound that very, very cleanly indicates to you that it doesn't work on this screen. It's not going to be effective for any reason. So they found one item in the whole game after trying literally everything. They found one that didn't make that sound on that screen, and found out that if you hold down the button on that item on that screen for a certain amount of time, then that would summon Food Dude and sort of finally unlock the Easter egg. So it took about 14 months. I hope that it wasn't constant effort, but it took them about 14 months between their first breaking the sort of puzzle of it, and finally, like last October 2020, of them finally saying, I found it, I did it. So it's a very cool thread. Check out Wand of Gamelon on Twitter. It's very cool. But that is the diamond item that we collected there. You take the coal to that man in Great Wimbish, and he either trades it for a diamond, or he's very, very good at his job and can put it in a furnace and make diamonds out of it or something. But now we have the diamond, and you'll notice also my ruby count is flying upward in these next few screens. It will max out at 999, and we'll have way more rubies than we'll ever know what to do with. So we're almost there, just a couple screens away. I think we can do a quick donation before we meet Food Dude.
For sure. So we have $250 from Implied Kappa, who says, this is a phenomenal Awful Block lineup. Mega Mem 2 and Creed are both absolute gifts to this marathon, and we absolutely must meet the bad grammar incentive. Thanks so much, Implied.
Very cool. All right, so we are now one screen away. There's also, I think, an optional heart piece around here as well, but we don't need to collect it. We're fine. We'll be all right. But here it is. This is the screen right now that inexplicably has the Food Dude on it. So I'll hold down the button for about 6 seconds, and you'll meet him for the first time. Here he is.
Radical, dude, totally.
And that's it. So
And there you go.
Very anticlimactic for something so fascinating, a story behind it. But there he is. We brought him to GDQ. Thank you so much for your generous donations. That's $15,000 right there to prevent cancer. Very cool. So Food Dude, by the way, is...
Well, what is his voice line? I didn't have an audio feed. I forget it.
Radical Dude Totally is his voice line.
Oh, okay.
So, like, why is someone saying Radical Dude Totally? That makes no sense. And that's why. So he is like the main character of a canceled Viridis game that didn't make it very far in sort of the designing process. Like they have, I think, just like mock-ups of it. You can see all of this in the thread from One of Gamelon, but it's all just nothing. Like he never existed. He wasn't in a game, but they snuck him in just sort of as an homage to this thing that they worked really hard on, and that's very cool. Like all their hard effort is not wasted because he's now immortalized here in Zelda's Adventure on the GDQ stage. Now these levers, another recurring Zelda enemy, are dealing no damage to me, and that's because of all of our extra defense. So that therein lies the benefit of picking up all of those celestial signs, among other things, of course. And now this screen is the one that has actual intended enemies. I don't need to pick up rubies. What am I doing? Actual intended enemies who will deal real damage to me. So I'll be dodging all of these, or killing them, or running away from them, because they're actually quite scary. So very, very interesting juxtaposition of those. And
now we are headed right into the final dungeon of the game. I'm sorry, shrine. Factual correction.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's the strongest we'll ever be on the overworld. We'll never visit the overworld again, except in a couple of cutscenes. And very, very melancholy, very sort of bittersweet, because we're getting close to the end of the game here. This is the final shrine, as you said. Here's Blacksmith. He's fun.
I, Blacksmith, have
He introduces himself.
Goodbye. This shrine is very, very unique because you'll notice many screens have no enemies. And some of the enemies that they do have are very weak. It very much feels like, and this is something that I believe is only theory on our part, that they ran out of time. Or something.
Time or budget, or maybe it was just super buggy because it was at the end of the game. And in the 2 years of QA that, yes, it went through 2 years of quality assurance, I assure you. Unfortunately, because the developer, like I think the lone developer of the actual game, parts of the game, and not like the menus and stuff, was no longer with the company for whatever reason. And so in order to fix any bugs that they found, they ended up removing a lot of content. And so we end up with 2 very easy shrines kind of back to back. So that's why the Shrine of Water is really like the final boss, the climax of the run. And now it's just like, a victory lap around Tolemac. But yeah, we will be very soon meeting up with Warbane. He is the boss of the shrine. He will sass us. But he's also super weird in that he gives us a gift. He's very nice to us in that he gives us one of the best items in the game up here on this next screen. Here he is. He's kind of a dragon. Sort of like a deflated dragon a little bit. He's doing his best. But he gives us this hammer item, which is, it's so good. And it's also very, very inexpensive. It only costs 2 rubies to cast. And it has a very slow-moving projectile, which you might think isn't great, but actually it comes in handy for later. We'll be killing Ganon with it. Spoilers. All right. Let's get some donations in, please. Just one.
For sure. So we have $25 from Jason, who says, had to donate during the most awful block of GDQ. Also want to shout out my partner Croco and best friend Lazy Tiger, who watch with me every year. And thank you to the tech crew, hosts, and runners for putting on such an amazing event. Much love. Thank you, Jason.
Awesome, thank you. Here's the dogs I promised earlier, the final appearance of that dog sprite that we saw a couple of times. And we need to kill that 3rd one in order to get into this door. And then there's one more scary screen in the shrine. It has a couple of what I call like bellhop kind of monkeys or something. They're a very strange enemy, but I feel like that is self-explanatory here. Why I call them that.
Doug, would you want Organics to explain the intense strategy coming up for our battle against Warbane?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So right now, Warbane's just giving us a little speech. We're going to fight him a couple screens from now. Warbane is another one of those bosses that has a fixed movement pattern, and so as you're playing this game, you sort of learn the right movement to dodge around and get your attacks in where you can. And we're going to see a very intense strategy on Warbane here. It's probably one of the most difficult movement patterns we've seen in a boss so far.
Yes, and here's that gold necklace that increases our magic defense because the good offense is the best defense, I guess. And now here we go, quiet time for Warbane. All right, I did it. So the hitbox for the loading zone actually extends slightly into the room, so we can just walk out.
That was your discovery, right? Or organics?
Yeah, and again, it was literally just trying to dodge Warbane and figure out where he moves. I spent some time in every boss fight just like figuring out, okay, I can stand in this corner and get an attack and then move over here. And Warbane, I'm just like, I'm just going to move to the top right corner. Oh, I'm out. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I discovered it accidentally as well, and I thought I was so cool. I was like ready to bring this huge discovery, and then I watched one of Organics' videos and saw that he did it too. I was like, oh, how did I miss that when I watched that before? Because he like knocked me into it. He hit me. But yeah, it's always great to find like a safe spot in each boss fight. But speaking of boss fights, we have to do 7 of them in a row. But fortunately, all of the bosses have been nerfed into the ground. Instead
3
of 10,
hits on Lord.
instead of 10 wand hits, Lord now takes 3. That might be sort of a facet of our wand having powered up. But actually, we do know certainly that it is directly that their health has been reduced, because we will use the feather against Avian, and it will take a bit fewer than 11 hits like it normally takes to kill her.
So far, that was 3 more hits on Pasquanaut, and then we're going to Avian, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
And 1 hit with the feather will kill Avian instead of 11. So
now I know you've had a really tough time so far, Doug.
That's true.
During this
So
boss rush.
I could really use an E-tank or something right now.
You could use some hearts. So why don't you whack the 4th shrine boss with 1 hit and get a heart from every single one of the bugs she drops?
Yeah, Malmord
because it was so tough up to this point.
Yeah, Malmord turned into a bunch of bugs in a trench coat for some reason. So we'll just get a bunch of hearts, even though I didn't lose any. And that's why like it's hard to tell what happens when you die in the boss rush, because it's extremely hard to do so casually. And then Egwanda,
there was the 5th boss, which means 6 should be next, right?
Yeah,
the bear.
Yeah, the bear from the Shrine of Strength. But inexplicably, Ursor is not. He didn't make it. He's not.
He
here.
didn't show up to the boss rush. He got his calendar mixed up.
He's just not here. So I don't know why he didn't show up. There is, I think, an arena for him in the game's code, but it isn't used. So I suspect he was removed for buggy purposes or something. And now, the final climax. After the 10th hit with the hammer, I will call time. So get ready on that. It will take 5 cycles if I do it perfectly. We'll see if I do.
Here's Ganon.
And this is why the slow-moving projectile of the hammer is quite handy. Oh, that was pretty bad. Okay, I will probably have to require an extra one because I messed up and I think I hit him with the wand there. He is totally fixed. Oh, I've just got nerves. It's fine. It's fine. We'll get another. He's totally fixed pattern. I know exactly where he's going to spawn. All right, yeah, I think it's going to take at least 1 more hit here. I'll spawn over here again. And that's time. We did it. We beat Zelda's Adventure together. We completed the Unholy Triforce. I will request the tech team to please turn down the sound a little bit. It's about to get unbearably loud because it's not mixed very well here for the credits. But congratulations, everyone. You survived. We've done it. We saved Ptolemac. We'll finally get to see Link. We saved him. My capture card hates it when it changes the resolution here, so give it a second. We'll get back to it.
It changes resolution?
It must, because that's the only thing that makes my capture card angry. But we can see...
We see some beautiful scenes of Ptolemac. There's a cow.
That's right. Peace and cows return to Ptolemac. There's a pig there, a couple pigs. And there it is. There's Link. There's Link. We've done it.
There he is.
And nature is healing. It's very good. All right. So I've got some shout-outs here I would like to go through as well while we wrap up here, while Gastra gives us his final word. I'd like to, of course, thank my commentators for joining me today and sharing their knowledge very generously and their time. I know you had to stay up late or wake up early for this, so I really appreciate that. Our host, of course, Lanaruse, thank you for that. Really appreciate all the hard work that you did to prepare for this run. It's much more than was necessary, and you really did it, so thank you for that. The whole CDI community, you're awesome. I love you, especially Gruntmeister. Thank you for bringing the other 2 Zelda CDI games to GDQs. Thank you to Dopley for bringing fan remakes into the world and making the game so much more accessible. Thank you, Stovent and Fishbone, for your emulator work. You can check out our Discord if you're interested in this type of thing. It's on ZSR and it's on speedrun.com. You can just check it out there. Shout out to everyone else on the leaderboard that I haven't mentioned yet, like Usui and Astro and Dark. Thank you for learning the speedrun. OC as well. Thank you for learning the speedrun and putting a time up there. It's very cool of you. Very nice. Thank you to the Zeldathon team and community. You are so wholesome and so uplifting and supportive. I really appreciate it. Thank you to ZSR, Zelda Speedruns, Tresco, especially for welcoming the CDI games and the Tingle games into the fold of all of your Zelda content. I really appreciate that. Thank you to viewers and donors. I really appreciate, the money that you've put forth to give us a cool name like Lunk to unlock a very cool Easter egg. I really liked bringing that. That was fantastic. Thank you for just sticking around for Awful Block, being very generous and keeping an open mind. Really appreciate that. Thanks to GDQ and all the volunteers and staff and mods and everything for putting on an awesome event and finally letting us complete the Unholy Triforce. And I'm really looking forward to a lot more Alpha Block. Crumpmeister is running Tasmania. He's part of the CDI community, and so is Final Flame running Sonic Jam for the Gamecom. Definitely we'll be trying to check those out. It will be a very late night for me, but I encourage everyone else to do the same. And I will throw it as well now to my commentators if you have any shout outs or plugs you'd like to do.
I don't have anything major to say other than, Doug, this run was radical, dude. Totally.
Thank you. Organics, do you have anything?
I think you covered pretty much anything I would say, so thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, in that case, thanks very much. Keep watching Alpha Block. Keep watching the marathon. Keep donating if it's within your means. Thank you very much for having us.
All right, thanks so much for an incredible introduction to the Awful Block from Douggernaught. We're going to read a couple quick donations before we continue. We have $100 from Booth Manning, who says, Awful Block is awfully good. I agree. We also have $50 from Awfool, who says, absolutely full of awe at how awful this Awful Block will be. But you, GDQ, you're beautiful. Thanks so much, Awful. All right, so we will be back after this short break. Please hold tight, and we'll see you soon.